What's up, everyone, and welcome to the Emancipated Filmmaker podcast. Today's interview is brought to you by sixfigurefilmlaunch.com, where we help independent filmmakers launch and monetize their films online so they can use that leverage to get favorable distribution deals. So make sure you check out sixfigurefilmlaunch.com for more information. Now, the title of today's interview is The Realities of Film Distribution. See, my name is George Asheshimwa, and today I'm going to be talking with independent filmmaker Scott Weils about the state of filmmaking today and the realities of film distribution and film streaming in 2020. So I'm pretty excited about this because Scott Weils is well versed on the subject of film distribution and has very graciously consented to this interview to share his extensive knowledge and experience so every independent filmmaker can really understand what to do after they've completed the Herculean task of making an independent film. So let's just jump right in so you can see where things are right now and where we think they're heading to when it comes to film distribution. I know that a lot of independent filmmakers really want to know about what's going on and the opportunities and challenges they face moving forward. So let's begin. All right, so welcome, Scotty Weils. Could you just tell us a little bit more about yourself, your background, your experience in filmmaking, and just how you got into this and why'd you get started?
Yeah, so basically I got started in around 2009 and worked with a partner and a crew that was built over time. And we originally started with some music videos and we did a short film. We were in pre-production on our first feature for over a year, and it was pretty much at the 11th hour about to shoot, and we pulled the plug. We didn't feel like it was casted right, and we shared a philosophy that one weak link in the casting, that just didn't fit right could, sink the whole thing.
Okay.
So we pulled the plug on that and began work on a movie called Once Upon a Superhero.
Okay.
It took about several years to make. We did it with no budget, no permits, no help, out of our apartment. And we did it wanting to do something that was completely uncompromised, and something that would inspire other independent filmmakers to forge ahead and do unfiltered movies separate from the studio system.
Awesome. So that was the first feature that you did, or?
Yeah, that was the first feature. I produced that movie, and right now I'm currently working on a new movie called No Man's Canyon.
Awesome.
Something that I'm writing and intend to direct and produce, and starting to build a team around that.
Awesome.
So a lot of my pandemic period has been focused on the pre-production of that. Yeah.
I'm getting ready for the new film.
Yeah.
Awesome. So that experience with the last feature, what are some insights that you had, as far as after you made the film, and what was in your mind after you made the film? What was the next thing you guys tried to do? What were you guys looking to do?
We struggled with how to go out and put it out there. We wanted to do something different. We wound up going through the film festival circuit. We hit a few festivals, had a good run, and we booked a lot of shows all over the United States and Canada, and a lot of some of the most well-known and beautiful architecture type art house theaters.
Awesome. All over the U.S. pretty much.
Yeah, and Canada too.
Okay.
So yeah, that was a really cool experience as somebody that loves just the old school community feeling of cinema. And
you were able to bring that with your film. You were able to give that experience.
Yeah, I consider, proudly a very Hollywood studio producer, so to speak.
For sure.
The studio system doesn't really work for me. I don't like red tape. I don't like compromised art. I don't like filtered stories. I want to see people be able to do things unfiltered. Those are the things that are interesting to me.
Awesome.
Working on things like that, I'd rather struggle, literally, and make no money, but make something really good.
That you love.
As opposed to something that is just so watered down and so compromised upon its completion. And you know, hey, that works for some people, and that's great, you know, and there's an audience for that, but I believe that there is a audience of people that want to see something that's not wrapped in a perfect box with a bow.
Definitely.
Something they can, you know, dig a little deeper in their minds and sit with them.
I agree. Awesome. I watched the film, and I agree. That was awesome. Like pretty much what you said. It was an awesome film. It was counterculture. It wasn't something that you see in mainstream. It was an experience. So I thought it was an awesome thing. So what was your experience with like distributors? What were they saying about like, you know, purchasing your film?
The biggest thing that I could pass on to your audience and tell other filmmakers is, you know, people get a romanticized idea and that their film has a chance.
Mm-hmm.
And what I've come to find is at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter how good you think your film is or is not.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost irrelevant because you're not going to get distributed by the top dogs. The odds are astronomically low. And the reason I came to find, you know, after going through a very, you know, emailing, pounding the paper,
mm-hmm.
doing everything possible, with a really interesting film that's in a time where it feels like a lot of things are just like a lot of things. This particular movie is not like anything really out there.
Mm-hmm.
And so you would think that, you know, even in that process, what I came to find is at the end of the day, there's only several major studios, and they are only budgeted to put out X amount of movies per year, 5 movies, 7 movies, 10 movies maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And those movies are going to be spoken for by top-line directors, or what they consider A-list directors, and A-list
in their circle
actor attachment that they can sell on a global scale, and a name that they can sell to distributors. You know, it's not just it's an international business.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just a domestic,
it's not
especially
now
in 2020 more than ever. You know, they count global box office.
Okay.
And at the end of the day, hey, anything can happen, but I think the odds are remarkably low for you to get into that place. So what I came to find is, you know, you really have got to know in advance before you make your film. You got to be able to think outside the box. How am I going to market this movie? Because you cannot count. It's all of the big dogs, and then that just leaves a bunch of other distributors and companies that you pull up their website, and it's a sea of movies that most of the public has never heard of.
Yeah.
And it's not a knock on those movies. I'm sure there's some really cool stuff in there. It's just, you know, and I suffered through the same.
No, you're saying this is about the big distributors, or you mean just the smaller distributors? Who has?
What I'm saying is, there's only 2 kinds of distributors out there.
Okay.
We have the big dogs,
Okay.
who, like I mentioned, are only budgeted for X amount of movies per year,
And
which is
saying
going
they
to
have like 10 or 15
Yeah.
movies that are already allocated. They already have, you know, they have an A-list actor. They have some type of global appeal, and they're kind of budgeted for it. That's one group you're saying.
the slots are spoken for, so
Mm-hmm.
to speak.
Okay.
And then that leaves everybody else.
Okay.
Which is not the A24s, not the Paramounts, not
Mm-hmm.
the Sonys, you know, all these other companies that most people we've never heard of.
Mm-hmm.
You look up their front page,
Mm-hmm.
and it's, you know, a lot of movie titles most of the public has not heard of. We don't have Google behind us pushing the algorithm. So that's
Mm-hmm.
the truth of it. The truth is we're stepping. This is how I feel about it.
Mm-hmm.
if you're an independent filmmaker, true independent filmmaker, you're stepping into a game where the score is already Hollywood 1 million, you 0. The game is that rigged from the get-go. They want to make it, in my opinion, so hard for an independent filmmaker to get their film made. 99% of the people that I know who are either working in various distribution companies, I'm talking about the indie ones, very few filmmakers, and probably according to many people I know, 99% do not ever make their full money back. So
that's interesting stuff.
How do you build a business model with that type of
word?
It's very hard. How do you find a backer for your next movie? Hey, I lost money, but I only lost this much money on the last. You know what I mean? How do you sell that to a investor? So there's a lot of different ways you can skin a cat, of course, but at the end of the day, it leaves a very rigged playing field that doesn't make it easy for the filmmaker. Makes him very tired after the process to be like, wow, how do I go through that fight again?
Sure.
It's such an uphill battle. The other thing about movie making is, there's so many moving pieces. It's just to get your movie made is a very difficult process. And
it's an accomplishment in itself.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess it does lead to the case of what mistake do you see filmmakers making the most after they made their film?
Well, I think the biggest mistake is not after they made their film; it's from the get-go.
Okay, awesome.
Before they even, when they're in the phase that I'm in right now with my next movie, I'm already thinking about, now that I've already been through that and I understand the reality of the game and what it's rigged against me, I'm trying to think more outside the box than ever and understand how to market this movie from the very get-go.
Sure, because that's the game.
Exactly. So the biggest mistake that I see filmmakers making is not putting themselves in enough of a position of success where it's not just, hey, I got my movie made, which is an amazing achievement,
good, but it's
and
not
you should be
enough.
very proud of yourself. But why stop there? Why not say, hey, I'm also going to make this a business?
Amen.
How am I going to do this? You can look at Hollywood examples. You can look at a Woody Allen who has a limited audience, but his audience digs his stuff. And he makes a movie a year. And when that movie comes out, that audience comes out for his films.
That's a great example. He's a great playbook for how filmmakers can and should be looking at doing their businesses. Making money, making films for your niche, making films for your audience and growing through that audience, and not really trying to be making something for everyone. So that's awesome. That's awesome input.
Yeah, and think about your marketing and your sub-marketing categories from the get-go.
Have it ingrained inside
and
of you.
Start to emulate what Hollywood does, and Hollywood takes all of those things and then they make multiple social media accounts that target those specific things you're trying to do.
Definitely.
So what I tell other filmmakers that is a really good thing to do, it is never too early to start building your audience.
Definitely.
And think about every single way you're going to market, who you're going to reach out to. Don't count on those people, those smaller distribution companies. They're not going to put any money. They're not going to put any money into your advertising. That I can tell you. Don't.
Personal experience.
Unless it's your uncle that runs the company, it's going to be or your dad or something. It's going to be a tough uphill climb for you. So I try to say, hey, give yourself and put yourself in the best positions for success. And not just the success of making the movie, but the success of making it something where you can make a second movie and a third movie and build your audience along the way that wants to see your career grow.
Essentially, you're saying, in order to be successful, based on the reality is 99% of filmmakers aren't going to make money from their film or haven't made their money back from their film because all they thought about was just making the film. Whereas if you're serious about making money from the film, you need to start thinking of this as a business. Think of it as how the distributors are, or the big distributors are doing their products or doing their films and marketing and distributing films from the very beginning. You need to start doing that yourself. Is pretty much what I'm gathering from what you're saying. Like,
Yeah.
you need to start looking. Don't look at this as a creative, as just an artist, because you're going to get paid like an artist, which is sad. But look at it as an artist who's an entrepreneur, that's also a business owner, as a Woody Allen.
If you want to be an artist and be a paid artist, and not a totally broke artist, that's actually able to, and then you'll be able to entice your investors better for the second one. Hey, this is what I
because
did.
You know how to make the money back from it.
Yeah, and it's always an experience. And each time you go, to me, I come from a place where I did not go to school for this. I am self-taught.
Which a lot of filmmakers are.
Yeah, I'm a self-taught person. I believe that I would rather learn at my pace. And to me, the best way that I can learn in anything is by doing it.
Definitely.
And that's when I pick things up. So, your second movie should be better. If you wrote it, the script should be tighter. And if you directed it, your directing should be tighter. And if you produced it, your producing should be tighter. And, whatever the case may be, each time you go through that experience, it should just bring more and more and just get better and better at your craft, which is never ending. It should go on. And
definitely.
There's always little nuances and things that will change each time you go through the experience.
Definitely. So, one of the questions I want to ask you is, so where do you see, I feel like you've already kind of pointed to this, but where do you see like independent filmmakers are, wasting a lot of time and when it comes to film distribution?
Where are they wasting their time? They're probably wasting their time by counting on them. Okay. I see a lot of people, I have friends, in my personal experience, I have several friends that made movies in the same rough time period that Once Upon a Superhero came out between 2017, 2020, over the last 3-4 years. And a lot of them, I hear it over and over again. Yeah, this company, they said they were going to do A, B, and C. I'm not seeing them do A, B, and C. I think they are counting too much. Again, I can't go stress this enough. If you're not repped by one of the bigger distribution companies, these companies don't have money. They're really buying titles to fill their library up. A lot of them.
They're like serving their own businesses. They're not really.
They are, they're. I guess they have their reasoning, and I can't speak on their behalf necessarily, but it just seems a lot of people feel like they're not happy with. They don't feel like they're doing enough for their movie, and what you really got to understand is it's up to you. Don't count on anybody. Have your marketing plan set. Walk them through, give them as much, and also be just as active as they are. Definitely. Nobody's going to care about your movie as much as you're going to care about your movie. And that's the truth, and especially when you have some guy who's going to meet you for coffee and going to tell you, oh, we're really excited, and blah, 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 and we're going to do this, that. Don't count on it. Hopefully they do, but don't count on it. And push your movie as hard as you can. Give them as much advice. Know who your audience is. Know who your genre is. Know the types of distributors that it fits their audience, That's something also to really pay attention. I know a lot of people are making horror movies, and that's one thing, but what kind of horror movie? What's going to separate you? How could you start to subcategorize your marketing plans and inside of your own movie and expose and look for all of those groups and get your fishing pole into those ponds, so to speak, where there's more people that will be hopefully interested in your movie.
So filmmakers that should, all the way from pre-production, start thinking about, marketing, start thinking about, how they're gonna, make the return on investment for their investors. So one of the questions is, what do you think about, what do you feel about streaming? How do you feel about, using streaming to, recoup you, to make money from your film?
I think even with that, I don't think it adds up to enough. With what Amazon did, changing their payouts
Mm-hmm.
to filmmakers. I think it was maybe more plausible than from what I've heard from other filmmakers. It was better paid like 2-3 years ago, at least through
Mhm.
Amazon, but right now I think it's a struggle. And even if you're going across multiple platforms, you know, a really unknown film even making like $10, $15, $20,000 over the course of a year,
Mm-hmm.
if it's making $20 to $40 to $50 a day on that particular platform, you know. So even that at 15,000, let's say your movie gets 20,000 from one platform, 20 from another.
Mm-hmm.
So you're on 4 platforms that get 20. That's $80,000. Maybe
Mhm.
you made your movie for 50,000, and you made a couple bucks. Maybe you made your movie for 300,000, and
You've lost.
you lost 250. Really, just depends. It's a broad thing. It depends on your distribution
Sure.
company. So that's a tough question. You know what I mean? But what I would say is, don't count on anybody, and don't count on distribution companies. Try to figure out ancillary products
Mm-hmm.
to sell your movie as well. Think of
Okay.
the ways, not just don't count on making the movie. That's a really strong point that I try to hammer into filmmakers. Don't count on anybody. Don't count on anything. Don't count on them to help you market. Don't count on them helping you figure out how to market it.
Mhm.
Don't count on them finding your audience. Don't count on anything. If they do it, great. More power. And it will only help, you know, just your success odds. It will just continue to, it's always about putting yourself in the best odds.
Definitely.
There's no guarantee to anything.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you put yourself in the best particular odds to succeed?
Mm-hmm.
And not just succeed in getting your movie made, but succeed in getting your movie made and having it be successful
money from it.
enough to make money so you can make your next movie and keep getting better at what you set out to
Make a
do.
living as a
You
filmmaker.
can't, just doing one movie, it's hard. How could you hit your peak? You know, you want to do it the second time, and then
Great point.
you're going to make mistakes, and then you're going to be able to eliminate some of those. And you're also, one really important thing, no matter how much you go through pre-production, and no matter how much you pre-plan, there's going to be things that happen that you could never have foreseen. Don't stress in those moments. Don't lose your way.
Mm-hmm.
Accept it as part of the process and what's going to make this experience unique, and go with it.
Mm-hmm.
You'll get past it. It was meant to be, and there were many times in the first movie that it felt really catastrophic in the moment, like, oh my God, this is gonna really fuck us up, you know? But in the end, all of those things actually made it a better movie.
Awesome.
And
Very
that's the
insightful.
truth, yeah. So, you know, sometimes various things are gonna come up, go with it. That's a big thing that I see sometimes filmmakers, it could be very derailing, because it's hard, and every day costs money, and you got a lot of people putting their time and effort, and you
Sure.
wanna get the most of each one of those things, but things are gonna happen.
So yes, it's awesome. So you made some really good points there. And so as I'm hearing it, so you're saying one of the things is, yes, when you're looking to make that return on your investment, when you're making the money back from your film, don't only look at, you know, the sales of your film through streaming or, you know, marketing. Also use like ancillary things, and make sure you're taking ownership of, you know, making sales on your film, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Don't count on anything. Don't
Okay.
count on it. Put yourself, you know, put your film out there. Put your film out there to the right audiences. Have an idea of who you're targeting.
So what are some things that you were, you said ancillary products, so what are some things that you mentioned that you sell, you know, alongside your film to like make more money from?
Signed posters, T-shirts. If you're doing horror films, maybe do playing cards. You know, collectibles.
Mhm.
And remember, you know, especially those things. We're in a time period where you have a Comic-Con or some type of rom-com or something of every day of the week in every city in every country around the world. And it's become extremely popular. People love cool art. They love products and things that, you know, sometimes if you do the right job, your poster alone can sell somebody. You know, if they're looking at something, and that's as a child of the 80s myself, I miss album covers and things like that, because sometimes I just saw an album cover and I'm like, man, that looks really cool. I have no idea what's going to play in between the cover of that album, but man, that looks really cool.
These are great points.
Yeah,
great
so I would love to check that out. So that too is, anything that you could do to put your art, your logos, your things in front of people and in front of eyes, you got to go there, and you got to know where those things are. When I'm done with my movie, where are places that people are going to congregate that I might want to send some type of flyers or things over there to bring attention to my project.
Definitely.
And I don't think you can take what you can take from Hollywood. They don't waste time anymore. They start promoting the next comic book movie at the Comic-Con that'll premiere at like 2 years later. Yeah. But they'll have those actors come and they'll make the announcement. Take the business model that Hollywood does.
Because it works.
Yeah, I mean, not
just not on the huge scale.
Yeah, it might not work. Obviously, they have a lot more money and different types of backing and money to lose.
But they know how to make sales.
But
one thing Hollywood knows how to do is make sales.
There are aspects you can take from them and apply to yourself. Think outside the box. Think for yourself. Step back and really make a full list of marketing. It's going to help you. It's going to help you write your script. It's going to help you put key points into your script and notes that will come. Like right now, I have, the script I'm working on has notes of a separate set of categories that will be littered throughout the movie. Mm-hmm. And there are certain specific historical figures. There are certain specific a dog breed. There is a specific,
these things can also be used
different. Yeah, that I'm going to be targeting as sub-marketing when I'm done with the movie. And there's already an idea. I know I can't get, Brad Pitt or Will Smith or Tom Cruise or whatever. I'm not going to get those people in this movie,
but you can still
that
find a way
can
to relate
sell on that level where they're global names. So what I have done is I've taken a historical aspect that has millions of people that adore it, and I am bringing a cinematic story to it.
So you found an angle. So you need to find an angle that relates to your audience.
I would suggest doing something like that.
Awesome.
Or not just an angle, but what I'm saying is I found a subject that has millions of fans.
Yes.
So
for sure.
I don't have to pay that subject
for sure
$2.5 million
for sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So instead, now I have that subject, I can utilize it, and it's going to be my master selling point.
It's just as wide of a reach, or it's a wide reach, just like a star or a celebrity or a global name is a reach. It's a wide reach, but it's also accessible. It's something that you don't have to spend crazy amount of money, to use. So it's a smart way to really, it's being resourceful, basically.
Well, for me too, I'm re-challenging myself, and I want to take everything that I've accumulated over 10 years in producing and now bring it to this. But where can I put my best odds? Before I sit down and go through the very intense battle of getting a movie made, the very draining, it's a different kind of undertaking. And I have friends in all types of arts. I have friends that are authors. I have friends that are musicians, and I'll even joke and say, hey, it must be so much easier because here you only need like 4 other people, or you only need your fingers and a really good agent. But with a movie, even a small scale movie, there's still going to be from pre-production to production to post-production to the life you manifest for it after it's all done. and then putting it out into the world. So there are 4 specific phases to the filmmaking process, the way I see it.
Sure.
Okay, so you don't have a name star.
Yeah.
You know, you're not, you know, and you might be able to get a smaller scale that might have a little selling appeal to, you know, one of the independent but maybe slightly higher scale independent distributors. You know, I think you just have to know whether, what can you market? What, if you know you're going into this and you can't count on anybody, and you just know at the end of the day, hey, maybe somebody buys this, but if they don't, how am I going to get this out to the world? If this doesn't get in the hands of the type of distribution company that I dream of being with, and I now understand the facts that, hey, it's going to be very, you know, it's a very difficult road. You're stepping into a very rigged game. Maybe you get lucky, but those stories like that are really, really minimal.
Few and far between.
Very, very few and far between. For the average person going about it that is not being funneled through a specific, you know, high-end film school, so to speak, like an AFI or a USC or somebody with a renowned film school where maybe you have instant
like an NYU
ties
like
into something there. I think for somebody like me, now, you know, there are 2 kinds of filmmakers, you know, and if you want to break it down that way. And so if you want to say, hey, there's filmmaker A who really aspires, it really means something to them to win an Oscar or be recognized in that particular way, and really it means something to them to be part of that Hollywood system. And then there is somebody like me that I don't give a shit. I don't, you know, and the truth, I don't care.
Awesome.
I don't, and that's just me. And it doesn't, I don't hold anything against somebody that wants it the other way.
Sure.
God bless them, go for it. I'm just saying, for me personally, that doesn't interest me.
Definitely.
Maybe it would if I liked more of the product of what's coming out. But to me, what I watched in the 80s feels so much more cinematic than what I see today.
Sure.
Now, maybe that's because maybe some younger guy or younger girl, whatever, that maybe, let's say, is a teenager right now, and that's all their eyes have seen is a lot of the CGI stuff, and so that's what they grew up into. So I get that, you know what I mean? But for better or worse, I didn't grow up around that, and I think this stuff looks horrible. It doesn't appeal to me at all. You watch the trailer, and it feels like the whole movie is given away for the most part, you know. A lot of the storylines and plot lines just don't make any sense. Yeah, so there's just a lot of things that...
So you're the filmmaker too. You're the one who's... You said 2 types of filmmakers. So that first one is, like you said, maybe is aspiring to go through the Hollywood route. And so they may... so the way they get there may be differently, you know. The way what they do is maybe different. And then there's filmmaker 2, doesn't necessarily care about the Hollywood route, but has a vision and has an idea that is very, you know, connected to them, to their hearts, and they want to be able to see that and make that happen and put that out into the world. There's an audience for a filmmaker 2 as well, and it's not necessarily that, you know, the traditional route, right?
Yeah, but I think that's a great. What you just said is a good point in terms of, like, be honest with yourself. What do you want? Where are you? What are you going for? What are you in it for? You know, I have people that are writing scripts that'll ask me things like, and the first thing I say, well, do you understand what you're writing your script for? Are you writing it to sell it so somebody else makes it, or are you writing it with the intention of making it yourself? Those are 2 completely different things.
Yeah.
And I think you really got to know and understand yourself. Know and understand what you're good at. Yes. Yeah, I mean, really, or are you going to collaborate with somebody? You know what I mean? Does it help you to work with somebody? Is there somebody that you share a vision with? You know what I mean? Sometimes that works for some people. Some people have strong personalities, and it's just better for them to kind of
do it themselves.
You know, at the end of the day, only you're inside your head.
Sure.
Only you know what you see, what feels good, what you're inspired by, what you want to do. You know, because like you know, for instance, hey, I did something for 7 years that was a tremendous struggle, but I dug it because it was different. It was an adventure. I dig the adventure. I accepted that whatever, you know, however it was going to roll.
You were fine with it from the beginning.
Because I understood that, hey, doing something independently in this way, but there was a vision behind it, you know what I mean? And there was something that was unique and it was fun to film.
Awesome.
And so to me, I love adventure, you know, so that's a lot of fun for me. I'm into stuff like that.
Awesome. So I'll say, is there like anything else, like in regards to, you know, just like, you know, what filmmakers need to know, you know, about like the realities of, you know, film distribution or of things that happen after you make your film?
If you are focused on those things and and have a specific vision from the get-go, you won't be so lost when your film is done. That's the key thing. Don't get to that place.
So pretty
and
much
then be like, all right, where am I going now with this? Where am I going? No, you're going to have a vision, and then you're going to reach out to those people that you pre-selected because you knew when you were making it, these are the types of companies that are releasing things that fit the genre, and you're keeping tabs. But remember, things change all the time, and it's don't sit there and dwell too much over what's happening now because it's going to be different in 6 months and 12 months. Technology is going to change. These companies go in and out of business, they merge, they change. All types of things are always happening. So don't, you know, focus in the now, but know where you're going to go with it when you get there. And then have the idea of what is, you know, where to angle it, what's hot, which companies are moving. Start at the top, come down your list, and have a plan A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and down the line. Don't just have plan A and B.
So, just to add on to that, so, you know, that's, you know, if unfortunately, they've already made their film, you know, and they weren't into the market, or, you know, they've already made their film, what would you suggest to somebody who's made their film now and they're out in this, they're trying to get the film to a distributor or trying to make money from the film, what would you suggest to them right now?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Like, so let's say, you know, unfortunately, they've already made their film, they didn't, and that's what they're still trying to, you know, like get that to the next level. So maybe they weren't able to, you know, start thinking about marketing as they were making it. They just started really thinking about marketing after they made it, their film. What would you suggest to that person? Maybe that they're looking for distribution now, or looking to try to monetize their film.
Watch your film, make notes from the beginning to the end of every single marketing potential you can see. Start to break down those categories and make Instagram accounts, Twitter, all down the line, all the usual suspects. Try to hit each one of those marketing categories. If you have a dog in your movie, what is the specific breed of that dog? And start to hit and feature just that part. Hit from as many angles as you can. You never know where you're going to just create a spark. It could be one particular group. You might break down 8 to 10 marketing aspects and also reach out to your own media. Start booking your own podcast, start doing your own things, you know. I was very aggressive in doing that. You know, I knew there was nobody else who was going to do that. You know, you have to go hard, and you have to find the people that are going to dig what you're doing and believe in it and want to share and hear your story.
Awesome.
And, you know, so you got to really think creatively down the line. Hit as many, find the distribution companies that are in your genre. Think about what is your genre. So these are all things. Rewatch your movie, but this time just rewatch it with the eye of just marketing and go down the line from every frame of your movie and get as many different ideas together as you can.
Awesome.
And use those too as selling points to the distribution companies. Give them an idea that you have a vision that you are going to specifically use, you know what I mean? And help put that you can help assist them also, if they want, in you know.
In moving, moving further.
That was
No problem. No problem.
But
So I guess we kind of like wrap it up. I think we have some good stuff, but I'll just say to sum it up, like what's something that what would you really what would you really want a filmmaker to know? Just from your experiences, like summing up, just what would you want them to know about what to expect and how to succeed?
have a goal. Know what your intentions are with it before you even begin to start writing it. They can change, they can grow, but start out with a set of intentions. What are you doing this for? Where are you going to go with it? Are you doing this to make this yourself? And if that is the case, give yourself as many opportunities to succeed as possible. Give yourself very detailed marketing and sub-marketing. What is the subject of your film? And as you start to write it, if you are the writer of it or if you're a collaborator on it, make sure you are listing those things. Make sure you litter your project with these potential marketing standpoints. And then when you go about making it, put yourself around the right energy. Put yourself around the right people. Very big key piece. Know that you share the right visions together. Know that you share. Sometimes you're not gonna. You're just gonna collide, and that's gonna happen, and there's nothing wrong with that. But try to put your energy, the people that have the same intense look in your eye, that look for something that mirrors and reflects. And certain people are going to come and go, and things happen, and films are a little bit different, but try to put enough of those kinds of people around you and manifest your energy. Don't put it into the atmosphere. Never quit, never give up. Don't let there's going to be things that get in your way. There's going to be things that no matter how much you planned are going to happen. Accept it, smile about it, take the gut punch in the moment, and know that it's okay. The universe is that's the journey of your particular project. And roll with it. Roll with the flow.
Awesome.
It's not catastrophic. There's an editing room that's going to make the movie completely different than when you're going through that process anyway. And just keep your head up, keep trudging along, always fight through, always keep thinking, keep as many detailed things. Don't count on anybody but yourself all the way through the process. And if you follow enough of that and give yourself enough different opportunities, I believe that you will give yourself a higher percentage chance of being successful to not only make one movie, but make many more and make a career out of it.
Awesome. Scotty Weils, pleasure, man.
Thank you for having me, brother.
Thank you.
That's good.
Cool, man.
Good luck with everybody.
Awesome. So first I want to thank Scotty Weils for a great interview. I'm sure all independent filmmakers in our audience have learned a lot of information about the state of film distribution today and how it impacts them directly and indirectly. So again, I want to thank Scotty for sharing his insights and experiences so graciously with us. Now, if you want to know a bit more about launching your film online and using your launch as leverage to attract favorable deals from distributors and streaming platforms, check out sixfigurefilmlaunch.com, where we help independent filmmakers launch and monetize their films online. So again, I want to thank all the independent filmmakers in our community for joining us for this amazing presentation on the current state of filmmaking and film distribution, and just the realities of getting a film distribution deal and monetizing it with film streaming in 2020. I'm George Sheshawa, and thanks for joining us on the Emancipated Filmmaker podcast. I look forward to seeing you soon in the next episode. where we'll give you more insights on how to free yourself from the dread that's plaguing the independent filmmaking industry. So, have a great day.